Let's move on to our book club.
Ooh, let's move from Kingsman to Kingsman.
So we decided to do for the book club a community. So we all read The Secret Service. And it's not called Kingsman: The Secret Service. It is just called Secret Service.
They aren't even called the Kingsmen. They're just called
they're
Secret
not. They're
Service.
just
Even the
called
Chinese are the Chinese.
They're actually
Secret
called
Service.
the MI6. They're MI6 in this.
Oh, okay. That's fair. That's fine.
Yeah, this is Mark Millar and
Dave Gibbons.
Watchmen.
Drawing of Watchmen.
Drawing of Watchmen.
I can't speak words.
Mark Millar. This is pre-good Mark Millar, I'm going to say.
I would say this is the cusp. Because this is when he starts doing all the stuff to turn the movie. So like this and Kick-Ass and all them. And like, I think this is the cusp of good.
Well, no, this is after... This is like
2012.
Yeah, but so he developed this story with Matthew Vaughn, and that actually is what I said to you. This is essentially Kingsman's first draft.
Yeah,
because that's essentially what a comic book is. It is the first draft. You don't get a chance to do too many drafts of a comic book before you put it out.
Yeah.
This is where Kingsman started, and
fundamentally, it is that movie. Really,
yeah. It's just some very different things happen.
Yep.
And I'm going to be honest. I wanted to do this specifically because this is not as good as the movie.
No, not nearly.
And that is very weird to say because a lot of the time it's the movies that's not as good as the comic book.
Yeah.
But Matthew Vaughn elevated this comic book.
Totally. So Gary, I forgot. I like that they call him Gary once in the first Kingsman to show that that's his actual name in the comics. Because I was like, where's the Eggsy coming from?
Yeah. Sparks, you were going to say something?
I don't know how I would have felt about this if I hadn't already seen the film.
Yeah, I agree.
It's serviceable.
Because again,
that's what conflicts me is that I'm like, I just don't know how to talk about it objectively because I'm like, all I see is where it's not like the movie.
I think I can.
Well, it's what I said. So what I said. So let's look at this. Mark Millar really changed his style after Man of Steel, and we said this when we did Huck. You know, Starlight, Huck.
Yeah, you're right. Huck was the first big one.
Yeah, Starlight,
right.
Huck.
Jupiter's Legacy.
Jupiter's Circle,
yep.
Reborn.
Yep.
Those are very different than Kick-Ass and the Secret Service and early Mark Millar.
Civil War and Logan.
No.
No, I know.
Superman Red Sun.
No, but like he didn't start doing independent stuff till like Kick-Ass was like around like he did a lot of Marvel stuff.
Yes, but he did a lot of graphic.
Like Nemesis.
Yeah. He did a lot of like...
He's definitely toned his F words and C words down.
And his violence.
Yes.
He used to be very hyper-violent. I mean, famously, Kick-Ass ends very differently than the movie.
Yep.
It was much worse, I would say.
Yeah.
Again, Matthew Vaughn. But this comic sees Eggsy...
Gary. And Jack London.
Gary, his uncle, Jack London, works for MI6. And it's kind of the same story of, you know... who trains the spies. So there's not really a Merlin or an Arthur. They all have their normal names.
The
Gary,
Arthur stuff was specifically for the movie.
Yeah. They don't have code names. Jack London is the uncle of Gary who's sees more in his nephew and wants him to be more, so he takes him to be a spy.
So much like the Kingsman movie, Eggsy is poor.
Gary.
Dang it. Gary's poor and he lives with his mom and his stepdad's a drunk, evil person as well.
Yes.
But Jack London is like, I was never there for my sister and her nephew. So like once it's the same thing. He goes to jail, right? He steals a car and stuff or something. Is that the same?
Yeah, he does go to jail, but it's a little bit different, yeah.
But he's like, I need to repay my sister. Now that I made it out, I need to help my family. So that's why he helps Eggsy get into this program instead of like
Gary.
Dang it! Gary. It's kind of the same, but like it's way more family oriented in the comic.
Yeah. I love the art. I think Dave Gibbons is excellent.
His facial, like he knows how to draw like mean people.
He does really good at facial expressions, but I will have to say everyone in this comic is really ugly.
Him and Steve Dillon, who is the Punisher artist, they draw the ugliest people, but like in a good way. Like you remember who these people look like because they're so ugly.
So it's kind of also James Arnold is the villain in this film in this comic.
23-year-old tech man.
And Mark Hamill is can we talk about the Mark Hamill scene real quick?
the best.
It's really funny. I was fully prepared to hate it, but it's actually got a really fun payoff because Mark Hamill is kidnapped. It's kind of the same idea. He's kidnapping celebrities. James Arnold is kidnapping celebrities, and Mark Hamill is one of the celebrities that we meet. One of the spies comes to save Mark Hamill in this chase sequence through the snow, and it's all cool. It's like they jump off a cliff. Don't worry, I've done this before. The parachute can hold both of us. They fall to their death.
Yep.
They both die, and then just a panel beat, and then the parachute pops out, and you just see one of the guys. Don't laugh.
It's a strong start because it's like traditional. Spy stuff. Mark Hamill. And then death.
Yeah.
It's also subverting tropes, kind of, in a way.
It is. In fact, actually, that scene is why Mark Hamill is in the movie.
Yep.
Because he plays James Arnold
He plays
in the movie.
The villain's name. That's a nice little call.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
As the scientist who shows up, the
crazy Gaia
kind of deal.
And I like that Merlin in the movie, he talks about the Gaia theory. He's like, this Gaia theory, but it's all a bunch of bullshit. Blah blah blah. He just like kind of like forgets it because like that's the whole plot of the comic, but like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. So James Arnold is got a frequency that turns people evil. Essentially, makes them want to kill people next to them. It's some other thing. Instead of a church sequence that he tested on, he's tested out on a mass wedding. And it's kind of weird because you may now kill the bride and everyone just dies.
Like, it's 23 couples and they all have to murder each other.
Gazelle is a man who's an ex MI6 agent.
Yep.
And you do kind of, and you also get. So James Arnold is stealing sci-fi celebrities and people that he grew up watching because he is essentially what would happen if
one of us
was super intelligent and wanted to quote unquote save the world.
So the villain is much more underdeveloped in this comic. I think Valentine's was a much better villain, but I like the plot of him being a big nerd and kidnapping Star Trek people, and you see Picard and Riker like being.
You see Pierce Brosnan in this comic, and he's like, "Do you know how? Please, I was James Bond before," and blah blah blah.
I wish because they talked about Iggy Azalea in the movie, but they don't really talk about many celebrities. I really wish it was just celebrities, like everybody was there, because at the end he's like, "Oh, he loves me."
Yeah,
and it's like it's really fun to see all these celebrities kicking ass. It's like 100 celebrities are trying to escape. It's awesome.
It's really fun to see. Like, there's a William Shatner bit where he's like, "I was actually really surprised that William Shatner was okay with this."
Yeah, all that stuff's really funny.
Yeah, and it's got Mark Millar's classic humor. He's a funny dude. He knows good.
Yeah, I
good
laughed
humor.
a bunch in this. Yeah.
But it is, it's
it is a foundation for something better.
Right.
It's a fine book. It's fine. It's not bad, but like. It's okay. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, and a lot of it does have to do with the fact that I don't like early Mark Millar.
Yeah.
The stuff in between, let's say in between Huck and Civil War, is not my favorite stuff.
That's like 8 years.
I know.
No, I know. I understand. I get you.
I don't like that hyper violent stuff that he just did because he did it just for the sake of doing it.
Well, not a lot of people do it as well, and I understand. I understand not liking it, but I think what he does it well for that type of thing.
And I used to think he wasn't a very good writer because of that. And then he pivoted, and he's putting out
his Marvel stuff is really good.
Truly, I think he is putting out his best stuff now.
I do agree with that, 100%. Can we agree or not agree? I like the ending of the comic a lot better when it's an entire world making out with each other. I thought that
I was going to say that's one of my favorite bits in this.
I thought that was
There's
fun.
the scene in the cop car where the two cops are just talking, and then one of them's like kind of reaching for the other one, and he's like, "Dude, I'm just so horny," and he's like, "I thought it was just me," and they start making out. Dude, that is hilarious.
I thought that was really good, really fun.
I love that Kingsman movie, but if it would have ended with a worldwide gangbang, like, dude, that would have been that would have been a Matthew Vaughn ending, dude.
And everyone
that would have been. It's surprising that they didn't go for that beat.
Yeah, dude, I'm surprised. Yeah,
and everyone's making out, and they're just like, well, for a couple of minutes, we have world peace.
Yeah, I really like that. And the Kingsman trainees are a much bigger part of the comic. They come in, and it's not just Roxy.
Because when he finds out that the equivalent to Merlin essentially is working for James Arnold.
And very much a similar scene to when Arthur. Michael Caine.
And so he's like, well, I don't know. Well, he's like, we've infiltrated the whole top. Well, I'm going to go to the bottom then. And he gets all the recruits.
Do they do the exact same scene where they switch the cups too?
But that wasn't like Eggsy didn't trust Arthur.
No, yeah.
It was like, oh, I just do it now.
No, yeah. But he knew he was the bad guy though, I think.
No, right? Because he even says in the comic, he's just like, you shouldn't have trained me to do that.
Oh, that's right.
Because
Yeah.
this is just second nature. I just do
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. But I really like the ending of that comic, man. I think it makes up for most of the averageness of it.
Yeah. I think one of the things that was interesting was that part of the spy's training is seduction.
Yeah.
And that's actually alluded to in the movie. Like they kind of go into it, but then it just becomes like a trick.
The train sequence?
Yeah, it's a trick. It's like, you need to seduce this woman. And then it's like, oh, no, now we're going to test you about being run over by a train.
They kind of went into it in the movie, but the aspect of like, you need to be an expert in everything, I really like that in the comic. Where it's like, you need to know how to have sex like a professional. You need to know how to do this. You need to know all these basic things that you didn't think you need to know.
Yeah.
They go into it a lot more in the comic, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. Anything else about the comic Sparks you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I really like the part where he gets dropped in South America.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That would have been a cool, fun training sequence, man. Just dropped off like half naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded that being in the movie. I thought that was a really good bit.
Yeah, and like he goes to like a drug cartel person and he ends up like stealing his plane and delivering him to the FBI.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's fun stuff. Yeah, this comic was fun, but you're right. You know what? Actually, I think I like it more having read it post film.
Same.
Than if I had just read it before I watched the movie.
Because you see the elements of where it was inspired from instead of just reading something by itself.
Yeah, it's kind of like reading the Star Wars, the comic book that Dark Horse put out.
Yeah, that book's also okay.
Yeah, that book is clearly the first draft of Star Wars, and you're like, okay, well, I can see where this came from, what inspired what.
Yeah.
But if I had read the Star Wars and then watched Star Wars, I probably wouldn't have liked the Star Wars.
Now, this does make me interested because there is a sequel book coming out.
You've not written by Mark Millar. It's already out.
It's already out, and I think it features like a lady protagonist.
No, it's still Gary.
Is it still Gary?
Yeah.
It's not Eggsy?
Although they now draw him to look just like
Taron Egerton?
Yeah.
I think that's his name. Yeah. Yeah, I was about to talk about the movie again.
It's called they actually call it Kingsman, the Red Diamond, and not Secret Service.
Oh, that's right.
Because they retroactively renamed the Secret Service to Kingsman, the Secret Service.
Oh, that's synergy.
Yeah,
that's fine.
In fact, actually, I saw the copy of the book that Sparks has. It is the movie cover.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
He's holding
Yeah,
it.
I saw it.
It's really weird when you open it up and then
The guy looks like Eminem.
it's not that story at all. So you're like, this is kind of weird that you're marketing it this way, but okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we wanted to touch on in the comics?
If you want to know where Kingsman comes from, it's not a bad read. It's a fun read.
I see there's the birds and the bees, and then the spies.
Oh,
I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't know.
Sparks, do you want to say anything? Final words about the comic?
Madness bacon.
Yeah, I like the way that Harry gets taken out in the film much better than the way Jack London does.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think that Jack London shouldn't have gotten out like that. Because
Yeah.
if you're supposed
He
to be
just
the best at everything,
Well, I think that's yes, but then there's a line saying like, "We all hope to go out in a blaze of glory." Not
but most
like,
of the time it's accidents.
Most of the time it's accidents like this, and I'm like, I guess it goes to show you that like not everything has to be that
Maybe
way.
don't use
That's-
the people.
Yeah, I guess it's also subverting tropes. I guess your main hero going out like a lame-o. I
Yeah,
guess,
maybe.
but it doesn't.
Which is kind of cool, but I guess it would have been more effective. I don't know if it would have been more effective or less effective without the shoot thing at the beginning, but who knows?
Yeah. I think it would. Yeah, if I was viewing it as a movie and the main hero went out kind of like that, I guess it would be kind of definitely not as good as the movie version.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I would also give this book like a 7. Like I think it's a fun read.
This comic, honestly, I liken this to the Star Wars on purpose because it's the first draft of Kingsman.
Yep.
But it's kind of fun. It's kind of cool to see. It's kind of cool to read. If you like Mark Millar, it's more of what he does, what he did really well. Again, we've said his style has changed quite considerably in recent years.
And I think it is a funny read. I think you will get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
Man, I was hysterical at the beginning with Mark Hamill.
Yeah, dude.
Like that. Don't laugh.
Yeah.
Just is hilarious. I was on the floor laughing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a fun read.
Yeah.
Glad I read it.
It was fun.